Everyone. I'm just gonna get straight to it. But first of all, I wanted to thank you all for joining me. I know you could have been doing so many other things right now. Well, because of coronavirus, it's kind of difficult, but um, nonetheless, you could have been doing many other things besides being here with me. But I do really appreciate it. So I just want to thank you for that. And secondly, I would like to openly thank God for just blessing me throughout this whole journey, from giving me the talent to write, to be able to write my book, Banisher, to helping me with the publishing process and the marketing and everything in between. I just want to openly acknowledge him for that. And then I would like to thank my family and friends as well for supporting me throughout this journey. Thank you guys. It really means a lot. So this is going to be a pretty quick video. I'm going to try to keep it about 15 minutes, like I said. But I did run it a few times and it went a little bit over. So if it does go over 15 minutes just by a little bit, then I apologize in advance for that. But I will just be giving you a background of my book and my writing process, tell you a little bit about how I wrote the book, and give you some more information about that. And then after that, I will be reading an exclusive reading where you can't get it anywhere else. You can't see it in the preview for the book on Amazon. It's up on Amazon in two formats, but I'll get more into that later. So I will be doing the exclusive reading, and then just to end it off, I want to give the audience a message. It's about dreams, but I'll get more into that later. So stay tuned for that as well. So Banisher Breach, that's my new novel. It's 50,000 words, and at first I didn't plan for it to be that long. And it has 22 chapters, has 3 illustrations inside, which I think are pretty nice, and 257 pages on the paperback version. So, as I said, I didn't intend for the book to be a 50,000 word novel. I remember when I was 14 years old, I was living in Barbados at the time. I was just sitting in my room thinking of something to write because I just enjoy writing. I wanted to write for fun, and I had the idea to write a short story. So that's how it started out. And I came up with a few pages, and then my grandmother read what I had so far, and she basically said, "Wow, this is really good. You should publish this." And so that gave me the idea to develop the story, and turn it into a full book. Now, at first, I thought, okay, I can make it a book, but I'll make it a novella, which is a short novel, about 30,000 words. And then I thought of that for a while, and you don't normally hear people say, "Oh, I just wrote a new novella." Novel's the big name. So I thought, okay, why not go the extra 10,000 words to turn it into a full novel? So it would have been a novel at 40,000 words, but it ended up being a little longer than that. And when I was writing this book, I would be sitting downstairs sometimes. I remember late nights in front of the computer screen. I would have to discipline myself, and I made a schedule for myself to stay on point. And so every weekend I would try and get out maybe a few thousand words. And it was a struggle. Something that I struggled with was having to allot time to work on the book instead of playing video games. Those were the temptations that were there. They were always present. And so something that I struggled with personally was just kind of finding the drive, getting past those blocks. Writer's block was a very real struggle as well. That's just a little bit about my process, what some of the things I went through to write this book. But enough about the boring stuff. Let's get into what the book is actually about. So on the surface level, bear with me here. Banisher Breach is, I would call it a teen fiction, fantasy dystopian action novel. Now, I know there's kind of a lot to unpack there, but I don't really feel like it fits perfectly in any of those, but it's kind of a little bit of each. And I was doing some genre research online, looking at different genres that would fit in the book that I wrote, and those were the most defining genres that I could find to fit the book. So the title, as you know, is Banisher Breach, and it takes place in a dystopian society. So for those of you who don't know what a dystopian novel is, it's basically a novel that takes place in a gloomy and glum setting. And so the society in Banisher Breach is like that. It takes place on an island, and the island mainly comprised of a school named Hasselford. And an interesting thing about that name is I came up with the name Hasselford just out of my head. I just thought of it. And then later, I actually found out that Hassen, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's a German word and it means to hate. And that's very fitting for the novel because mostly every character in that school, in the book, they hate the school. And the main reason why they hate the school is because there's this place, this prison called the Banisher. Now, the Banisher is a place where students are sent by the principal whenever they act out or act out of line, essentially when they break the rules. Now, this prison is literally behind a wall, and the principal very cruelly casts the students through that wall. They phase through it, and they're trapped there for what is meant to be an eternity. And they just stay there inside of the prison. Now, the main character in the novel is Ball. This Ball, like a baseball, like a basketball, like a soccer ball. His name is Ball. And many of the other characters, all of the other characters, have unconventional names. They have names of objects, things that you wouldn't normally associate with the name of a person. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to give anything away here, but you will find that out if you read chapter 1 of the book. Now, so Paul has a classmate, and then when that classmate gets banished, him and a group of friends decide enough is enough. They decide that they're going to take a stand, and essentially it turns into a rescue mission, a rescue plot to try and rescue the student from the Banisher. That's essentially what the story is about. Now, of course, there's more to it. I don't want to give anything away too much, but that's on the surface level. Now, on a deeper level, which is achieved through my use of symbolism in the novel, the main themes are forgiveness, freedom, and fear. And then there are also themes of love and hope. But what I tried to achieve in the novel was a book that was exciting on the surface, but then it also had a deeper level and a deeper meaning to it. So now I will be getting into the excerpt. It's quick, about 3 minutes from chapter 5. And like I said, you can't just go on the preview on Amazon and read it. So this is, unless you actually have a copy of the book, and this is the only place you're going to get it. So, and of course, it would make more sense if you read what led up to this moment in the story that I'm about to read. But I had to choose something that I felt was kind of exciting while still not giving anything away in case you do decide to read the book. I highly recommend. Let me get into that now. There was only one task to be done. It might not be possible to accomplish, but it was still a task, and Ball didn't want to think of it as impossible. Ball didn't accept anything as straight off impossible. He believed that there were some occurrences he should not even bother to think about because of the unlikelihood of them happening, but he always liked to remain devoted to his credence that nothing was impossible. Nothing. was holding the paper with his notes from Mr. Briggs's class now, along with a cup that he had just filled with water. With the paper and cup in hand, he slowly strolled onto his back porch. The scarlet sun melted into the purple sky, leaving the clouds scattered around them, and the sea's waves were softly splashing on the shoreline ahead. Though the water was a beautiful blue, Wall was more thankful for the sound that it made when it washed the sand, and for the sound of the breeze blowing throughout the area. These sounds created an atmosphere for the ultimate meditation. He assumed that they would be useful for the process he was about to undergo, so he decided to sit on the porch. With his legs crossed, he carefully set the cup down in front of him, within proximity. The notes were placed to his left. He began to review them. The words alteration, creation, and destruction were emphasized toward the top of the page. And annotations were underneath. Alteration, he said with his finger on the word, while closed his eyes and tried to block out the sum of all the distractions outside. That was the first step. Mr. Briggs had advised the students that to hone the mind on emptiness and think of nothing, you first had to focus on something, and then let it go. After sitting still for about a minute, Paul was able to push most of the thoughts away and focus on the sound of the sea, the water. Another minute passed, and soon two. He held on to the sound of the sea. Then, like a severed tie, he let it go, and banished it from the moment. And it was empty. He only saw his eyelids, and there was not a single picture he thought of. Next, one had to think of what they wanted to do, something to be changed and created or destroyed. Help to imagine the word itself, even if it only provided a minimal level of assistance. However, an approach that proved more promising was to envision applications of the word in action, another tip imparted by the teacher. His desolate mind was steadily replenished with a surge of change in nature as the water that he thought of turned to ice, change in position as he began to levitate inches above the wooden floor, and change in orientation as he flipped upside down. This was all occurring inside of his head. All that was left to do was specify the change to gravity, gravity alone. His 180-degree turn was reversed, his body pressed on the ground, and the ice melted and became the ocean again. Gravity, 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 he repeated as a mantra. Gravity was there, and it was beginning to change. Suddenly, the cumbersome thoughts poured in, and Ball lost all of his progress. It was the point of giving up, or the point of starting anew. So that is the quick excerpt right there. That's the reading. Now, if you want to find out whether Ball continues with his task, whether he tries again, whether he decides to give up, or whether he's just interrupted by some other reason, you're going to have to read the rest of that chapter, purchase a copy of the book to find out. Now, I like the book Banisher Breach because, as I mentioned before, it has a surface level that I like to think of, and then it has a deeper level as well. And the excerpt that I just read from you was from chapter 5, The Flow of Water. And I like that chapter, but it's not even one of my top 3 favorites. There are so many more interesting parts in the story. Maybe many of them would have spoiled something for you, the audience, but it truly is a good novel. And it's available on Amazon, like I said. For the paperback version, it's $14.99. If you're in the US, you should get that within a few days. This is in US dollars, just to be clear. If you're outside of the US, I'd estimate maybe a week or so to get the paperback. And then there's also the ebook version, which is going to be cheaper. It's $9.99, and you can download a Kindle app for free. Then you can get it on that, and you can start reading instantly right after you just download the ebook version. It's also on Kindle Unlimited, so if you happen to be enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, then you would get the book for absolutely free. It costs nothing for you if you are Kindle Unlimited, because it's part of that as well. So, like I promised, I just want to, I know I'm up at 15 minutes, just a little bit longer, I promise. Um, but I just want to give you a quick message about. I just want to talk about dreams, kind of a word of empowerment, if you will. So, being an author was my dream, and about a week ago, that dream was realized. I became an author. I published my first book. I should reach right here. No, I have it. I can hold it in my hands, and I can say that I realized that dream. And I remember when I was younger, people would ask me, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I think, well, towards the later part of my childhood, I did want to be a writer. But I would think, why does it have to be when I grow up? Why does it have to be later? Why do I have to wait? And I thought about that, and the answer that I had then is the same answer that I have now. And the answer is you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to follow your dreams. I believe that it's never too soon to follow your dreams. If there's something that you're passionate about, if there's something that you just have a running passion for, a drive to do, then I say go for it. I say do it. Follow your dreams. It's never too soon. And on the flip side of that, if you are part of the older audience, if you feel like perhaps it's too late for you, maybe that ship has sailed. I don't believe that. It's just like how it's never too soon to follow your dreams, it's never too late. So if there's something that you want to do, I say go for it. Follow your dreams. Now, I just want to thank you all again for tuning in, for joining me here. I'm not telling you to purchase a copy of the book. And if you don't, if it's not your cup of tea, then I won't be offended in any way. I completely understand. But I at least advise you to check out the preview on Amazon. It's completely free. And here's a tip, check out the ebook version, the preview of the ebook, because then you get the first two chapters and the beginning of the third chapter, I believe, as well. That should give you a good taste for what the novel is about, and you can see if you think you'll enjoy it or not. And if you do think that it's a book for you, if you like what you heard, then I say go ahead, get it. Again, there are two versions, the paperback and the ebook. And I can tell you, as the author of the book, as someone who has read it a few times at least, that I recommend it. And I recommend it because I keep reading it, whether it's for edits, mostly for edits, but whether I just want to read it. I keep reading it, and there are always some parts that just astound me, and I look at them, and I almost can't believe that I wrote those parts. And I truly believe that Banisher Breach is a story of fear, how to overcome it, courage, freedom, and the struggle to attain it, and forgiveness, which is perhaps the most important of them all. Now, you think that it is something that you would enjoy, again, I say go for it. I recommend it. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think it's a good book. I really do think it's a good book. And I know that I went over the time, like 4 minutes. I apologize for that again. But if you have any questions for me or any questions about the book, then I have my email linked in the description below. And there is a link to purchase a copy of the book there as well. You can go straight to the Amazon page. And I would love to chat with you or answer any questions that you may have about the process or about the book, just about anything. Um, Again, I thank you for coming. I really appreciate your presence here. And I want you to have a wonderful night. Keep in mind what I said about the dreams and just about the book as well, because I want to be a blessing in your life. I want the book to be a blessing in your life, and just want this moment here to help you in some kind of way. And Besides that, that's all I have to say. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming, joining me here, and take care and stay safe.